All right, this is going to be a little bit of off the wall kind of rant video. Now the title is probably going to piss a lot of people off, just right away. But all things considered, like 75 to 80% of the videos like this are by Asian men. Maybe like 15 to 20% are by Asian women, and they're just like voicing their concerns about white devils, such as myself, like taking the Asian women out of the dating pool, and or whatever, or fetishizing them or this or that. But you never really see videos from the perspective of the white devil, like themselves. For the most part, white people don't identify like with other white people like as strongly as like a community as like Asian people see other Asians, and are concerned with the affairs going on with them. So I guess so naturally, uh, people making videos about interracial relationships for the most part are not white, because we don't see race as much. But I'm going to anyway, because oftentimes we're the subject of interracial dating, and as someone who has dated Asian girls myself in the past, like I also have the right to speak on it, even if I'm the bad guy, which is actually bullshit. But to start with, let's go ahead and start with the Asian male perspective. So, I mean, it all comes down to this: they're taking our women. That's what it comes down to. Like in the 50s and 60s, in America there was a big scare over that the black men were going to take the white women, and and a lot of white racists complain about that sometimes as well. And there's also a lot of even still there's a lot of black women who complain that their men are going for white girls. And so people the people who complain the most are the ones the people who complain the most are the ones who are concerned about another race taking people of their race out of their dating pool, which is all that really boils down to is racism. And but that's let's go ahead and get to the root of it. For hundreds of years, thousands of years, in many countries, we've seen arranged marriages and like the traditional family unit, and every man's of the community's legacy being able to be passed down through the generations, and that's sort of been country by country in order to secure their place in the circle of life. And unfortunately, with the rise of freedom, which is my side, by the way, I do support the rise of freedom and mass migration throughout different countries, and freedom of migration, freedom of travel, borders becoming less isolated, and more dating freedom. You're going to have less arranged marriages, especially by like parents and those which are considered coercive, and you're going to see people flying from all different countries into other countries to find love. And unfortunately, there's going to be some groups of people who are not going to fare as well as others, because the unfortunate fact is that racial dating preferences do exist. They are a thing, and it's something we just sort of have to accept. That's freedom. That's what's the word I'm looking for again? Natural selection. Natural selection is rough, and sometimes it leaves people out, and it can come down to your weight. It can come down to your weight, to your personality, to your wealth, to your class, to your athleticism, or just the way you dress, and to many different things. But unfortunately, race is sometimes a part of that, and sometimes some races are viewed as, I guess, being left out more so than others. And so that explains why mostly Asian men are concerned about that, and I really do empathize. I really do empathize with that. But more so than ever, Asian men are making a rise. With K-pop, I know that's cheesy, but K-pop and action movies like a badass. They're not so much like portrayed as like the dweeby nerds that you used to see like back in the day. And I think it's people dating Asian men is sort of like on the rise like recently, and that's great. So we should and the bias in media, like, and the way we portray people in different races, does have an effect. But in the end, since we do have this freedom, since we're moving away from the traditional, like, I guess, arranged marriages as we did before, the best thing every individual has to do is to become the best person they can for themselves, to not care about which race is dating which race, and to just excel, like rise to the top. And for the women, the women's main concern is that, of course, just like all women want to be treated like queens, so of course their main concern is that they're going to be fetishized, that they're not going to be appreciated for their personality, for their values, for their culture, for their way of life, or that their family is going to be disrespected because family is a really big deal, and many other things. And so a lot of times men go into relationships wanting to play the dominant role. Of course, that's changing because of the world's becoming more progressive, as well. We're pretty much equal now, and that's why, and that's what they're concerned about. And of course, people also. So, this is from my perspective. Okay, so as someone who's sort of been viewed as, I guess you could say, the bad guy in this whole scenario. For one, the about the fetishizing thing. For one, I can't help who I'm attracted to. Like, no one can help who they're physically attracted to, and they can't help who they pursue. But that's the thing. If I'm attracted to someone, I'm not, because we have freedom of interracial dating and marriages, and also because there's no coercion. I'm also not sorry. Like, if I'm taking people out of a perceived dating pool, then it's like I'm not sorry about that, because I'm doing what's best for myself. And it's unfortunate, but people do have racial dating preferences, or maybe not racial, but like, people will date based on like features and aesthetics and also looks that are attractive to them. And that is the first thing that people see, and it's shallow, but that's the fact. Some people do have racial dating preferences, but the funny thing is, it's never a controversy if it's within your own race. Like I said, I want to go date. I want to go find a white girl to date. Then nobody would ask any further questions. So I say, I specifically want to find a Latina or an Asian or a black girl. It's like then it's suddenly it's like we're questioning my intent. So I'm not sorry for who I'm attracted to, but I'm also not sorry for my preferences, whether they're based on race or weight or height or any of that, because that's what natural selection is. And I'm also not going to try to, I guess, adjust my mind to conform to what makes people happy. Not either. Now, personally, I haven't dated in a while. I'm probably not going to date in a while. I haven't had the best, dating life, but that's just the truth of the matter. And passport bros, so to speak, a lot of them are like, I guess, sort of pieces of trash that really don't care about personality or culture or the family, but and are really just attracted to looks, and they have a lot of money and they think they can do what they want. But to be honest, I would say that the most of them like really do want to assimilate to an extent. They want to, like, as myself, like I've always had it hard, like, dating, I guess, because I've never had the greatest personality, to be completely honest. I haven't always been in the best shape. I've had acne, scars. I've had scarring, like, in my face, and I got picked on in school a little bit, and most of the white girls didn't want to mess with me, and so and that's what natural selection does. It goes to www.google.com / countries that like white guys, and it's like, bada bing, bada boom. That's where I'm going. It's like, get the tickets ready, and I'm not sorry about it. But the funny thing is, I never really noticed or thought about this whole controversy before. I've always just thought, okay, I want to date who, based on my options, for one, because it's hard dating as a man, and two, it's like, I want to find people who reflect my values, and I've always been interested in Asian languages and music and culture before. When I was a kid, I was reading all the Dragon Ball Z. Okay, that sounds cheesy and stereotypical, but yeah, I mean, all the anime, all the JRPGs, and yeah, that is sort of like a sort of immersion to into like a culture on the surface level, like, but and the more you invest in the culture, the more you're gonna want to get involved with the people, and so it really starts with that. It doesn't start. Most of the time, it doesn't start with, okay, so I find these people attractive and I'm gonna go move to that country. It's like no, most of the time you really have to have an interest. And I learned Chinese for a few years myself. Not a few years, like a few months, and I forgot most of it except for the song lyrics. And I also learned a whole ton of Thai for like a year, and I forgot most of it. But I've kept up with my Japanese, and I intend to move to Japan after college and assimilate the culture and find a Japanese girl who reflects my values and personality. But for the most part, no one is going to. No one's really gonna like settle down unless they're really, with someone from another country, unless they can get serious about that life, And so I guess from my perspective, the main points are like, one, like I empathize with people who see like that we're taking your women out of the dating pool, but at the same time, no, race is really arbitrary. No one owes their own race, and no one really owes their own race to date within their race, and two, like I can't you can't always accuse people of just fetishizing when you really don't know their intent, and people can't help who they find attractive, and is there really a third point? I mean, there's really nothing else to it, and by the way, white people never really, for the most part, white people are not concerned about who other white people are dating, because race is really not. There's really no biological, differences in the races. There's no white gene. There's no black gene. There's no specific gene that separates the races. It's just how it's just minute genetic variances, depending reflecting like how the environment has shaped our futures over the generations throughout different areas in the world. So, but that's where I'm just gonna end this. I feel for everyone who is struggling in the game, because the game is rough. Natural selection is rough, and it's rough that that has sort of forced people to all rise to the top just to have a place in the circle of life. But that's the cost of freedom. And I hope that everyone finds their true love. I mean, I did fall in love with this girl in Thailand once, but of course we broke up and had to go separate ways. But that's just life, and it doesn't always work out. but most of the time it's not like just because people are dating between races doesn't mean that their intentions uh, are bad. And yeah, I hope everyone finds the one. That's freedom.